Lovely. Right. Question for you. Has anyone here ever walked into a room where two people have just had an argument and you can feel the tension in the room and you feel like turning around and walking straight back out? Anybody had that? Yeah? Yeah. Or alternatively, have you ever had a really, really busy week in work where you're absolutely knackered and you've got a business meeting or a conference like this to go to and you don't really want to go and you say to your partner, well, let's go, but we'll turn up and we'll go home at about 9 o'clock. Anyway, you rock up, the joy, the happiness, the laughter, a bit like this. You end up dancing your socks off at 2 a.m. and you feel fantastic the next day. Anybody ever had that? Or when you've been at a pub or anything like that? Yeah? It's amazing, isn't it? What is that? Well, it's energy, of course, dissipating from one person to the next. If you optimize your energy, you're going to optimize your performance in life. And when you're going for an interview or when you're a leader in a business, it's very important that you align and connect to other people that you're actually speaking to in order to align their energy to your energy in order to optimize the situation in the best possible way. So let's optimize a little bit of energy in the room. If I can ask you all to stand up and to high five or handshake someone you haven't met before. Come on, people. Right. It's really important to remember that everything in life is energy. So thoughts is energy, speech is energy, thoughts lead to speech, speech leads to actions, actions leads to habits, and habits leads to destiny. And it's amazing, I'm sure quite a lot of you as well, you know, you have this job or you go into university or whatever it is, and quite often you may wake up in the morning and, you know, the alarm goes off and beep, 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 you snap the snooze button about 5 or 6 times before you manage to drag yourself out of bed, drag yourself into the office, and you stare at the screen wondering what you're doing there all day. Anybody ever had that? Yeah? We all have, right? And yet, I'm sure other times, you've probably been going on holiday the next day, and you may only had 3 hours sleep, and yet you spring out of bed, spring into a taxi, spring into an airplane, and spring into the pool at the other end with loads of energy. Why is that? Anybody? It's because you're aligned to a sense of love of something you enjoy doing. It aligns to your values, and it aligns to a sense of purpose. When you create purpose in your life, it's amazing how much more vitality you have. And look, a lot of you here are looking to actually find a job at the moment. And one of the things I would say, in terms of find that right path, so you're aligned to your true, authentic self, rather than going out and following what your parents tell you to do or something like that, write down 5 things that you love doing, 5 things that you're good at doing, and 5 things that you can add value to people in some way or form. Then, find a match, go out and do it, and you'll never work a day, because you'll be doing something that you truly love. Or I've spoken in here when this was completely full of seats in front of 1,000 people one time at the All Ireland Business Summit. And I say to you, look, if I was to give you a stage in front of 1,000 people and it was your legacy speech, you're 75 years of age, and I said, get up there and do something that really makes you feel passionate, really adds value to people, and it's something you're going to leave in this planet that's going to make impact across the world, what would that be? And then reverse engineer yourself back to where you are now in terms of what learnings you need to do, what job you need to do, and what you need to do to feel worthy enough to actually be able to be in that position to do that speech. Now, I'm not saying it's that easy because, you know, myself, I worked 21 years in the investment world selling hedge funds and mutual funds, and I worked for some of the biggest companies in the world. And I worked my way up from customer services to sales management, to sales director, and then board director and head of sales and marketing, one of the biggest fund managers in the world. And during that time period, I was in the national press all the time. I was in the Independent and the Times because I grew an asset management business from 50 million per annum sales to 1.75 billion per annum sales. And now, having had a near-death experience, which largely came from stress, but the other thing it came from was a lack of goals. And that's why it's so important to make sure you set your goals of what you want in life. So when I was in university, I set my goals that within 5 years I was going to earn a 5-figure salary, and I did that easily. I wanted to become a millionaire by the time I was 30. I also did that pretty easily as well. I wanted to have a family, and I wanted to be mentioned in the press for success in my industry as well. And I did all those. And then I had a near-death experience and died, where I was encapsulating an amazing feeling of love, energy, and connection. So continuously look at your goals and make sure you have a direction in life. Because having a purpose and a direction in life and in a business is so important. Sorry, I'm flicking on too many. This thing isn't working very well. So, when you go into a business like Microsoft, every single time you walk in, they have this in their reception. So it's like every single time you walk in, you know, wow, I do that. And that's why it's so important to understand the energetics of what you do every single day in terms of even the menial tasks and how they lead to the end customer in terms of understanding how you impact them in some way or form. And I have a success formula which is to do with making it happen in life. Sorry, this thing isn't working very well. They're not working well at all. Okay, well, the success formula basically is make it happen. So that's mindset, actions, knowledge, and energy. And I utilize this all the time. In terms of mindset, for example, McKinsey have done a 10-year study show that people that are in what they call the flow state, which is when focus meets action without distraction, when they're in that flow state, they tend to be 500% more productive. And actually, Forbes magazine did an article showing that even just happier staff are 20% more productive. And happier salespeople, 37% more productive. And actually, Fortune 100 magazine did an article showing the top 100 places to work for in terms of the happy factor. Their stock market returns, average annualized stock market returns, were 15% per annum. Whereas those outside of those top 100 were only 5 or 6%. And actually, as a stock market guy, I wanted to check this out to see if it was actually true. And I had a look. If you look for yourself, look the day before Easter, the day before Independence Day, the day before Thanksgiving, and the last 2 weeks of the year over the last 20-year period, the stock market goes up 85% of the time. Why is that? Well, positive people produce positive results. And that's why it's your responsibility in terms of emotional intelligence to get yourself into the best possible state. The top leaders in the world, in terms of leadership, are the most emotionally intelligent people in the world. Why is that? Because emotional intelligence is made up of self-awareness. So that's awareness of where you need to self-improve on every single day. It's self-regulation in terms of when you have those interactions with people in business, understanding that when you're in business, you need to make it win-win rather than win-lose and not get triggered by the parental programs that you might be playing. Because let's face it, we're all a product of our parents, our preachers, our teachers, and past relationships and experiences. And that means that we all have different perspectives in life. And that means that you could see a color as yellow, I could see it as orange. It doesn't necessarily mean that either of us are right or either of us are wrong. It's just different perspectives of the same thing. And actually, considering the world we're in now, if we could understand that, appreciate that, and respect that, international love and business relationships would be so much better. Because the problem is, people are trying to push their own agendas and their own opinions on other people without truly seeking to understand by asking the right questions. Instead, they make assumptions. And that's actually why diversity and inclusion is so important as well in business. Because you get people from different backgrounds being able to look at issues and problems at different angles to come up with better solutions. And that's why it's so, so important in business, which I talk about a lot. I was talking at the One African Forum on that as well, and in Dell and Microsoft on that recently as well. And as a leader, it's really important to have good leadership skills. And the main part of a leadership skill is to have relationships with all the people that you work with. And let's think about the word relationship. You can break that word down into 3 different parts. So there's the ship, which goes in a direction from port to port. And your aim is to make sure that you get all your staff or yourself on board of that ship towards that direction, towards that goal, towards that mission, towards that purpose, or whatever it might be. And then it's interesting, actually, isn't it, that how you make the ship go faster and in the right direction is down to the sails that they had in those old-fashioned ships. And actually, it's interesting that actually the word sails, in terms of communication, in terms of active listening, and also conscious communication, is very important in respect of leadership, but also you guys going for interviews so that you can understand the shoulds of the person that you're speaking to. And those shoulds are the expectations, the needs, and the values of your recruiter or your staff. And once you understand the expectations, needs, and values, then you can relay yours as well. So you can relay the shuns to get everybody on board on that ship, to get them in the right direction in terms of a sense of purpose or the mission in terms of that organization. Now, going back to my MAKE acronym in terms of my success formula, I know a lot of you are going for interviews, obviously now trying to get jobs. And I'm going to give you an actual example that happened to me in terms of how I got into Dell, for example. Now, Dell, obviously, they have 182,000 people around the world working for them. They're one of the biggest companies in the world. And I actually approached Angus Hegarty, who is the president of Dell, on LinkedIn. And I'm sure all of you are on LinkedIn, but if you're not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn. And the second thing is to go to anybody that you've previously worked with, even if it's just an interim working position, and get LinkedIn recommendations. Because to be honest with you, LinkedIn is the most authentic website in terms of social media that you can utilize. Because Instagram, you can buy followers, you can fake testimonies, but it's very hard to do that on LinkedIn because they can obviously go out there and speak to the people that are actually on there as well. So, going back to Angus. So Angus was promoted from looking after 120,000 people to 180,000 people, and I congratulated him on LinkedIn. And I suggest you do that. Link in with CEOs, congratulate them on their successes. And actually, I sent him a message just saying, Angus, congratulations on your promotion. If you're interested, I'd love to come over and have a chat with you and see if I can add value to your business in some way or form. And by the way, here's a video presentation of me speaking at the National Workplace Wellbeing Conference and, just adding value to you. So he came back within about 5 minutes, and he arranged a meeting, and within 2 weeks, I was in the door. And this is where it goes back to the success formula. So I went in there with the mindset to make him my friend. And genuine, it was authentic, it wasn't fake. Because I knew if I could make friends with this guy, if he met anybody else in the industry, and they said, have you ever met Doug Gordon? And he goes, yeah, super guy. So when you're going into that interview, or when you're going into that sales meeting, don't go in for the intention of a quick sale. In fact, when I came up here, before I came up here, I always do this. So I always say to myself, I put my hand in my heart, and I say, I am Doug Gordon, I am my heart. I am Doug Gordon, I am my heart. I am Doug Gordon, I am my heart. Please let me come from my heart to the audience's hearts to bless rather than impress. And what you're doing is you're taking yourself out of your head into your heart so you can connect on an emotional point of view with the other person. Emotions are energy in motion. When you get something feeling, you remember it a lot more than just something said. And that's why in terms of presentations, it's important not just the audio, not just the visual, but also the kinesthetic, which is why I got you to stand up at the start and do a high five, because I wanted you to get into the energy of the presentation. And when you're in the energy of any presentation, when you're going for a recruitment position, make sure that you really connect with the person's heart. So in terms of going back to the president of Dell, I made sure that I'd done my actions and my knowledge to know all about him. So I saw, for example, he was the president of the American Chamber of Commerce. Now, I've spoken at the Dublin Chamber of Commerce, the European Chamber of Commerce, the Tanzanian Chamber of Commerce, and the Galway Chamber of Commerce. So when I met with him, I was able to say, Angus, I see you're the president of the Chamber of Commerce. I've spoken to all these different ones. If I can ever add value to you at all, I'd be delighted to come in and do a talk. So automatically what I was doing, I was showing that basically the interviewer, the person that I'm speaking to or selling to, I'm showing a genuine interest in something that they have an interest in. Not just about the company, but actually about them. Because that is the way you connect with people. People by people. And after also connecting him through rugby, through kids, through presentation skills, eventually he took me up to his office and we sat down. Now the next thing, if you're ever selling to someone, really, really important, ask for permission to sell. So I sat down with him and I said, Angus, is it okay if I tell you a little bit about my business? Now, the reason why I did that is to engage his subconscious so he's actively listening to me. Because if I just rant on, going on about how the business is and how I am and what I've done, everything like that, he's just going to switch off. So ask for permission and he will switch on and listen to you. And once I did that, I then never once told him how good I was. I never once told him how good my company was or the consultants that I work with were. I just used LinkedIn recommendations, I got 57 of them, of people that I worked with before. Now, fortunately, I've been on stage with New York Times bestsellers, ex-Taoiseachs, major famous sports stars, and I've got a radio show that goes out to 140,000 live listeners every week, so that kind of helps. But use LinkedIn recommendations to really promote yourself. So in terms of that, I actually picked the CEO, Leo McCanna, of Okuko, which is the biggest software support company in the world for the optical lens industry. I'd helped Leo with bringing in 100 million quid's worth of a new business, his health, his well-being, his relationships in terms of board confrontation. I helped rearrange the sales team, lots of different stuff. I was able to showcase that and say, look, Angus, if I can help you in the same way for consulting, corporate training, or coaching, I'd be delighted to. And he said, Doug, you're in. I shook hands, I walked out the door, and this is where it's really important. I walked out into my car, and I drove 5 minutes away. I pulled into a service station, and I immediately wrote a follow-up email. This is so important when you go for your interviews or you go and doing sales. Immediately, while you're still in their energy, while they're still thinking about you, write an email. So I wrote him an email saying, Angus, thank you so much for your time. As we discussed, I'd love to help you with corporate training, coaching, and consulting. And this guy, who looks after 182,000 people, came back to me in less than 10 minutes with CCs into the HR people, the relevant ones. And I've been working there for 2 years now and rolled over clients in senior VP positions already there. So make sure you do your knowledge, have the mindset of positivity, of making friends with the people that you meet. Take action in terms of learning the knowledge about them. I always say in sales, because I used to manage big sales teams, know your client, know your product, know your industry, and match your client needs to your USPs. And then bring in massive positive energy in everything you do as well. So important in terms of business and everything like that. One last story I'll just share, just to give you another insight, which is really important. You can make this story up from anyone, by the way, but I'll tell you the story. So there was a young man, and he's walking down the coast of Galway. And he looked over the edge of the cliff side, and he saw these 3 amazing stones. And he looked over, and he clambered down, he picked them up, and he looked at the stones and goes, wow, these are beautiful stones. And he took them back to his father. He goes, Dad, look at these stones. They're incredible. What shall I do with them? And his father said, I know it, son. Take the first stone, go down to the local market, make a market stall, make it look pretty. And then if anybody wants to come up and buy the stone, just show them the peace sign and say nothing else. So he went down, he put a market stall there, he made it look pretty, he waited. This beautiful lady came up and she said, wow, what a beautiful stone. How much do you want for it? Just showing the peace sign, she goes, €2. Deal done, thank you very much. And off she went. And he goes back to his dad, he goes, Dad, I've got €2 for that stone, that's pretty good. What will I do with the next one? And his dad goes, I'll tell you what, son, there's a diamond merchant in town. Go up to the diamond merchant, show him the stone. If he wants to buy it, show him the peace sign, see what he says. So he goes down to the diamond merchant, shows the diamond merchant the stone. The diamond merchant goes, wow, what a beautiful stone. How much do you want for it? €200. Deal done, thank you very much. He goes back to his dad, he goes, wow, Dad, I got €200 for that stone. That's incredible. What will I do with the last one? He goes, I'll tell you what, son, take the last one. Go up to the National History Museum in Dublin. Go into the precious stone department, find the professor, show the professor the stone. If he wants to buy it, show him the peace sign, say nothing else. He goes up to Dublin, goes into the National History Museum, finds the professor, shows the professor the stone. The professor goes, wow, that's an amazing stone. How much do you want for it? €20,000. Deal, done, thank you very much. And the guy goes back and goes, Dad, I got €20,000 for that stone. What does that mean? It's incredible. And his dad said, don't you know, son? If you value what you have to offer and hang around with the right people, you can get some amazing results. And that's why for you guys, hang around with the right people. When I was in my investment world, I used to use the same presentation when it worked. I used to use the same presentation and go into a financial advisor and get £1 million. A stockbroker, £5 million. An asset manager, £10 million. A global banker, £100 million. And one institutional pension fund manager in one deal gave me £285 million sterling. And actually, if you guys are going into Dublin for a coffee, don't go to the local Starbucks. Pay the extra €5 or €10 and go to the Westbury or Shelburne, even better. Sit in that bar. You never know who you could be sitting next to. It could change your life. Engage with people. Communicate with people. Push your energy out onto people in a positive way and show true interest in them as well. And watch the magic that happens. I went business class going from Dublin to London for a meeting, not because I'm big, as you can see, not because I'm flash, because I ended up sitting in the middle between two people, and the guy to my right was the CEO of Game On Media, David, and he got me into his business and paid me £5,000 to speak to his guys for 45 minutes. So you never know, if you're in the right place, the right time, with the right people, you can create amazing results. So in summary, make it happen. Mindset, action, knowledge, and energy. And in terms of getting your energy into the best possible state, I have another acronym, which is Gleam Your Light. Go in and shine your light every single time you go into a business meeting. Gleam is for gratitude and giving. Be grateful for all you have and you open yourself up to receive more. Give to others. Giving to others, especially your presence, your active listening, is the greatest gift you can give to yourself, and that's why presence and gift are the same word. Learn one new thing every day, and also learn that the hardships in life are there to help you, where you can turn your mess into a message. And also let go of those energies that don't serve you in terms of those grudges, so you can focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. E is for energy, which is what we're talking about, but also emotional intelligence, so you can create win-win in all the interactions that you have in life. A is for awareness. Have a look every day at awareness of your thoughts, your habits, and your feelings that you have in each individual interaction, including your own self. Because you're the person that talks to yourself the most. Sometimes it can be the most intelligent conversation you have. But make sure it's positive as well at the same time. And then finally, M is for meditation, which is amazing, by the way, in terms of reducing stress and increasing energy for life, but also visualizing your goals. And then finally, M is for a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, a sense of love for what you do, a love for the people around you, and a love for the clients you serve. And love is an acronym for lots of vibrant energy. So go out there and optimize your energy, and you'll optimize your life. And if anybody's interested, I have a new book coming out. It's testimony by 3 New York Times bestsellers. It's testimony by one of the Dragon's Den guys over here, and also one of the best speakers in the world in terms of sales and training, who spoke at the Pendulum Summit as well. It's been published with Brian Tracy, who's one of the most famous speakers in the world, publisher, and it's coming out in the next couple of months. I also have an online course, which I don't think this is working. I'll try. Oh, it might work now. Last minute. See if it goes. Well, you can see the online course there is at https://training.douggeydorden.com, and the book is called High Performance Success Without Stress. And I'll be doing a massive tour over in America in terms of that as well. And if there's any questions at all, or any way I can help anyone at all, I'm on all social media. I've got 40,000 social media people, so please contact me. LinkedIn's probably the best. If you've enjoyed the show today, please send me a little thank you on LinkedIn so we can contact each other. And I help people in terms of interview skills. You'll see several of my LinkedIn recommendations talking about how I've helped people get jobs in very senior positions and various other things as well. Any last questions? No? I'm around anyway for the rest of the day, so thank you very much. Oh, sorry, one question. Sorry, 1 second. No, my email is doug@dougdgordon.com. doug@dougdgordon.com. Right, thank you very much.